Steve Howell, and today we're hanging with the band. That's right. We've got another podcast for you that I believe is going to bring greatness. It's going to be sweet noise to your ears. You're going to love what you hear and everything about the person I'm about ready to introduce to you. And if you don't already know who she is, she's known as the Alabama Queen of the Blues. Oh my. Yes, Queen of the Blues. And there's a reason for that. And we're going to talk to her. We're going to find out about the Queen now. And I want you to listen to DieDra Ruff as she comes on here. This is going to be a beautiful thing, folks. I'm telling you. She heralds, of course, you know, as you say, the Alabama Blues Queen. She's played all over the world. Her music is carried everywhere. And if you haven't seen her, man, you're going to need to, especially after this interview. So stick with us. We're going to have a good time. And folks, here she is. Hi, DieDra. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, you know, I'm doing pretty good out here in the Midwest. We finally got some cool off weather that's very sweet to my bones. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, I just want to lay around and sleep, you know.
So understand.
So tell me, what have you been up to?
Oh, just trying to stay busy, just like the normal artist, just trying to stay busy and in front of different people, and just got a lot of little projects behind me on top of just being a musician.
Oh man. So can you tell us about that? You know, about what are the projects that you're getting involved with right now? I mean, yeah, come on, Alabama Blues Queen.
Well, right now we, my husband and I, who is also my music producer, record label, Ruff Pro Records, and he is also the producer, executive producer behind the movie that we just put together, our very first movie, and it's called Frenemy for Life.
Oh wow. You gave me a little teaser, that piece of it, and I was thinking, wow, you guys are going all out. You're using everything very professional. The sound quality was amazing. Everything about the thing, I was like, wow, that's, you know, this is a cool undertaking that you've got going on.
Thank you.
You know, I mean,
yeah, my husband is he had the vision. I had a small part in a movie and it didn't go well. And my husband was going with me to the shootings and he was saying, we could do our own movie. We could do our own movie. And I was thinking, what? And he was like, we can do our own movie. You know, and I was like, okay. So he just started doing his homework on the type of equipment that would make it, you know, be the best. And he gave me an idea of what he wanted the movie to be about. Right. And I just sat down and I wrote the movie out. It took me about 3 weeks to write the movie out. And then we got together and just started feeling our way and just, you know, pretty much everything you need to know about life is online.
Oh,
so I just went up there and taught myself.
That's how I bone up. That's how I bone up on everything. You know, I mean, I get on, like I've read all about you and I've read about, you know, some of the projects that you've done in the past. And folks, one thing I didn't do when I was doing the intro, because this is really huge. This woman has had 21 Grammys?
No, 21 just blues awards and nominations altogether. Just in my it has I wish.
Oh,
well,
no.
Actually, the last CD that we just put out in 2021, out of the 6 CDs that I do have, that was the first CD that the Blues Foundation called me about almost 10 o'clock one night. And they said, DieDra, we need to get your address. And I gave them the address and they said, we're sending your CD to California to be considered for a Grammy.
Oh my goodness. Even that consideration, let's face it.
Yeah,
I know not everybody can win a Grammy because if everybody could win a
right.
Grammy, we'd all have Grammys and no a Grammy wouldn't be as big and spectacular as it is. But even being I'd call that being a runner up, I'd be like
Yeah.
it's like going to Memphis and doing the blues challenge for the IBCs and things like that, It's quite an honor when you get up in that top five, I mean, it
Well,
doesn't matter.
I've been there and done that. I
Uh,
was one of the top fives
well,
back
I
in
mean, that in
back in
its
2014. Yeah.
that in itself is a huge honor, I mean, and the people you're playing for are what I call blues snobs, basically. I mean, not that I don't like them or love them or anything like that, but they I mean, if you don't do a certain song a certain way, if you don't have
Right.
if you slip on one word in the song, they'll come up and tell you, you missed a word in there. And it's like, what? I mean, who
Well,
keeps?
that year that we made it, we had went the year before, and that was our first time even participating. And the Blues Foundation here in Birmingham was behind us. Oh, you guys really need to go. So we got into the competition, and then we won locally, and then we ended up in Memphis. But that year, we did our thing, but we was thinking, we didn't like this. So when we came home, we just thought we'll never do that again anymore. So a couple years went by, and the Blues Foundation, I mean, the society here, you guys need to participate again. My husband's like, oh no, 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 no. And for me, I've never been the type of artist that wanted to compete. I just wanted to sing.
Right,
So it was
right.
difficult for us to do it. So we was like, all right, fine, no, we'll go. So we participated here in the local, and then we won, and then we went to Memphis. But that year, it was 267 blues bands on Bill Street for those 3 days. And so what my husband and I would do, we would do our thing, the band would do our thing. We would go back to our room, and the band, they would hang out and all that party stuff. We didn't care about none of that. So when it got to the night that they decided who would go to the semifinals, the band called, hey, we made it, we made it. We was thinking, we did? Okay. So then we did the semifinals the next night. And then after we did that, me and my husband, we went to the room and we was just like, whatever. And the band, they was hanging out. And then they called, hey, we made it to the finals. It was like, oh my God, we made it to the finals. We couldn't believe it. So yeah, yeah,
Oh.
we ended up being like the top six because the rest of them were like acoustic acts.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
that's what I placed as six, and like four of the guys that I went and that I was in competition with, man, they could play slide and sing and harmonica and drums. All I mean, they had it all programmed, and it was like, how am I to compete with that when I just show up with my little, my my one do
Oh yeah,
they do the dobro thing, and man, I mean, it's like
yeah.
I got appreciated, and I had a lot of fun, and I got visited by Bruce Iglauer that from Alligator Records while I was there. So
Okay.
so doing the competition, I don't like the competitions. To tell you the truth, I really don't
Yeah.
believe. I don't believe music can be competed. It's either felt or it isn't. It's
Right.
either you feel the soul coming out of the musician or the singer or whoever.
That's right.
If
That's
it's
right. I
come
agree with you.
if it's coming out of them, let's face it, I mean, I've heard guys playing on the street that could smoke just about anybody that's on a
Yeah.
guitar. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that going around, and there was a
It's a natural beauty. It's a natural beauty, and that's when you get the best. It's when it's natural and it's not rehearsed and scripted and all that. It's just a natural beauty. I'm one of those people that I write all my songs, but I don't have a book of songs laying around. What my
right,
husband do is he create a track for me. He said,
right,
okay, D, write to this. And I'll listen and I'll just listen to it and I'll feel it and I'll feel it. And then I write my songs.
man, I tell you, yeah, wonderful, wonderful songs that you sent me, and we're not gonna play those just quite yet because I'm
Okay.
still kind of I want to hear a little bit. Well, I know the people out there would like to hear about about what it's like for you. You know, you grew up in gospel, right? I mean,
Yes,
you grew up listening to gospel. You grew up
yes.
singing gospel. Tell me what that
Yeah.
was like back then. You know, I mean, do you still feel that in your heart when you're pouring out into some, you know, some of that beautiful soul music you come up with?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is my life. Even though I'm singing blues, it is my life. And so when I am singing, I'm really um into my spiritual being. And so, yes, it's everything. We grew up, my dad was the church organist. And so he was the one that
Okay.
actually taught me how to, I started singing when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and he just put me out there in front, and he created this little family group with myself and my sister and brother and put me in the front. And he just saw something in me. And so then when I got old enough, about 14 was when I got my voice trained for the first time. And, he just stayed behind me. He taught me how to play the piano, and I didn't stick to that, and I regret it. And then he taught me how to write songs. Well, what
Oh,
happened with the writing of the songs, when I got to high school, I wrote poems for my girlfriends. They will
oh,
want me to write poems for their boyfriends and stuff, not realizing that I was actually writing songs.
oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah,
So,
that
so,
was funny.
so that just kind of kept coming. So, where do you get your inspiration then? I mean, does it fall out of the sky? It's like God just hand delivers it to you, or do the angels go? I'm gonna, DieDra, I'm gonna surround you right now with something. Can you hear this? And then you start listening, and then you go, oh, and then you write it down.
I hope that you believe this and your listeners do too. Hip Swinging Blues was from my first CD, and I was asleep. And I wasn't that familiar with blues, I just music in general. And, we had been going, my husband played for Bobby Rush, and he took me out on the road with him so that I could get a feel of the road life. And
Uh huh.
when after a couple of months, he said, okay, it's time for us to start on your CD. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I heard Hip Swinging Blues in my head, and I rolled over and I grabbed a piece of paper and I wrote it down. And then I went back to sleep. Well, my husband used to sleep with his guitar on the side of the bed right next to him.
Of course,
And I
yeah.
woke him up. I woke him up and I said, Keith, I heard this song and it go like this. And I literally sang it to him. He grabbed his guitar and he started playing it like that. And that was my first hit. I got my first blues award for that song.
Oh my goodness. And I see in my queue ups, I didn't put that in the queue up. I don't know what's the matter with me. I can't do it now. Oh man, okay, I dropped the ball on you on that. But that, I mean, it shouldn't matter because I'm telling you, what I do have, I adore it anyway, you know. So and I'm kind of a, you know, I mean, when I talk about blues snobs, I'm kind of a snob myself about some music, you know. I mean, it's kind of stupid, but I think when you become a recording engineer and you start recording a lot of stuff from different people, your ear gets really tuned in to what is going on inside the song, and you try to bring that, what we're talking about is try to bring that soul out to the forefront, and the music is just supposed to support that soul. You know, that's kind of how I see record being a recording engineer. Now your husband, his name is Keith, uh and
Right.
and I'm telling you, this Keith guy, which I haven't got to meet yet. I hope I get to meet. But anyway,
I hope you get to meet him too. He's in the living room there. I'm trying to get him to sneak in here and say hi.
that's great. Cause man, I was watching on YouTube some of them. He was doing some Hendrix versions, and you was
Oh yeah.
you was singing on Little Wing on YouTube, and he was burning down the house with it and everything. So I was like, man, I was pretty impressed with, you know, his guitar prowess, and then the way he was swinging that guitar around like he was Stevie Ray Vaughan or something. You know, that was really spectacular. Are you still there? Anyway, I was watching the YouTube of Keith, you know, burning down the house with you know, with Little Wing. He did Little Wing, and then I heard him do a little Voodoo Child Slight Return. And I mean, the way he swung that guitar around his body like he did, and he played with his teeth. So he's like, I mean, there's so many guys that can't do that right, and he did, he nailed it down. I got to see Hendrix 7 times in my life when I was younger. I got to see.
Oh, wow.
I got,
Really?
yeah, I lived about 30 minutes from the LA Forum, so, and I
Oh,
also,
wow.
there, and we had the Swing Auditorium, which was in San Bernardino. And so,
Mhm.
and then we had the Hollywood Bowl. I saw Hendrix once at the Hollywood Bowl, and then all the rest of the times I've seen him either at the Forum or I've seen him at the Swing. So anybody that comes up and starts playing Hendrix, man, they got to have that presentation, because it's like I'm automatically going to my blues snob thing, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
but I got
He
to sit.
does. He has a way of it, with us people. I guess I see us as a team, him and I, because when we get out there, I may sing, but I think for him, he is more of the entertainer, because when people see him doing his thing, it's a combination of what we are trying to do, and getting our name out there as a band.
Well, what I saw, I'm just going to be honest, flat out honest with you. What I saw is two entertainers. That's what I saw. I didn't see, I mean, yeah, he has all the tricks and the flair, and he's really good at it. I'm not kidding. He's really good at it. But so are you. Even you holding presence over there, dancing and moving your feet, or the way you're holding the microphone, and the way you're acting through the whole progressions there on YouTube.
Right.
I'm telling you, I mean, it's a team effort. You can see it,
Yeah.
and yeah, and so
I learned everything. I learned how to uh, grab the audience attention and keep them and get them involved in the show. And I learned that from going on the road with them and watching Bobby, because Bobby is a great entertainer. And I
right.
just kind of learned how to interact with people and get them involved in the show. And that's how you walk away with them happy that they came, you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Bobby Rush. And anybody ever heard Bobby Rush? Hey, if you haven't, let's face it, folks. You got to go get a hold of some Bobby Rush blues, and you start understanding so much about where people come from, in origin. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about color. I'm not talking about race. I'm not talking
Right.
about anything about but the soul of a human being. Go listen to some Bobby Rush. Then turn around and listen to DieDra turn around with her husband Keith, and you can see and hear some of the influences that's all involved. Because let's face it, we all are a conglomerate of what we listen to and who we
Right.
are as a people, as folks that just love music, and that's really a big part of the listener right here on my show, is that's what you need to do, is learn to listen to almost all the parts inside of a music. You listen to the drums, then turn around and close your mind off to the drums and just listen to the bass part.
Right.
Close that off in your mind. Now listen to the guitar, and make sure you're listening to the verses of the voice that's singing, because that's the story of the song.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So, I have asked a lot of questions about where they get the magic. I always ask about the magic. Do you have a favorite venue that you like to go play? I mean, one that you just like, when you get there, you're automatically like, oh, I love this spot, man. I mean, and it turns on the whole band. I mean, the whole band just lights up to be there. You get to be there, and you're kind of the leader of all that too, and they're feeling you too. I mean, your band is
Well,
right.
yeah,
The,
I could say there's two things. A venue would probably be Ground Zero in Clarksdale. Um, I love it there. We feel totally at home. They take great care of us. And then the audience, they get involved. I invite them on the stage with me. It's just a personal show. It's a whole lot of fun. But we do a festival in Jacksonville, Florida called Spring in the Blues. And that festival, it had almost 222,000 people out there one year.
Oh, my goodness.
He will get out there and he'll get in the audience and oh man, and it's just beautiful. And one year we ended up on 2 years we ended up on the front cover of the paper, and it's those are the type of things that we like. We like to really put ourselves into our show and make sure that the audience leave and they're glad they came.
Folks, just also when she's speaking of Ground Zero, I just want to let you know that one Morgan Freeman is a big piece of all of that. How I know that because I was actually hired to go there and play, and it was going to be the biggest moment I felt like of my small career. It was going to be a huge thing. Trouble is my mom passed away and I had to cancel out on it. So that wasn't, but that's spectacular what you're doing there. And I saw your husband on one of those videos, I can't remember which one it was, where he jumped off the stage and the stage is like 4 feet up in the air.
Do you know that was the finals at IBC in 2014?
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. Now I remember reading that.
That's where it was at.
That was pretty crazy, and he went on through the crowd and stuff. I thought when he jumped, I thought, oh man, we're gonna have a broken guitar here if you ain't careful.
Oh man, he didn't miss a note, and it was so amazing because me and him argued about it before he did it, and we was behind stage. He said, "I'm gonna jump off the stage." I said, "You better not. I'm gonna jump off once." I was like, "No, don't you do that." And so if you look at that video, you see my expression on my face when he do it. I was like, oh my God, man, he didn't miss a note. And it was I was just so proud of him. I said, oh my God. It was awesome.
That was pretty amazing. No, that whole thing, that was pretty wild. Okay, DieDra, we're going to do a song of yours called If I Didn't Love You. Can you tell us a little bit about that song?
Well, it pretty much, like I said, I don't have a book full of songs. My husband will come up with the track and I'll just listen to it, and I'll listen to hear what I hear. And that's what I heard for that particular song. And I write it down, and then I hear the melody, how I want it to line up as I'm writing it down to the song. And so now coming in, I say, okay, I'm ready to record. And that's just how it is.
And even though at the beginning it says, if I didn't love you, it's like, wait a minute here. There's a stipulation going on inside of the song. So let's listen to it, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a great cut. We're gonna love this. Watch this. Here we go.
But when I look
Alabama blues queen, laying it down if I didn't love you. Oh my goodness, wow, that just drips all over the place, man. That's just dripped with love on that song. Now, I really like how you said how the song came about, and I don't know what's going on the airways, folks. You're at Burnt Possum Studio, and we are on the airwaves with DieDra Ruff, and I don't know why the system is acting so weird today. But it just is like, man, I mean, there's all kind of glitches. I wonder if there's sunspots or something going on out there, because it seems like between Alabama and Kansas, we ought to be able to get along just fine, But today it is just a bit strange. So, yeah, just hang on with the podcast. And just so you know that for your information, I played that all the way through, even though the screen froze. I believe it still records it no matter what, in time and in place, and that's where it's been. I know how to fix all this stuff, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't like to fix it because I have to do all that work then. I like it when it just kind of flows out there. And you can know what that's like in a recording. I mean, it's like you've been in recordings where, you laid it down just how you wanted to, and it's like, did you get that? Oh, man, I forgot to turn
I
off.
know, right? To find that chemistry again that you had then when you did it. And oh my gosh, yes, I understand.
Oh man, I've done that so many times, and what's really bad is when you have a full band there and and it's you,
Oh,
and it's my ignorance for not, taking it off pause or hitting the record button properly and making sure that red light went on, and I mean, it's like, whoa, that's an embarrassing
yeah.
moment, and it's actually happened on some of my podcasts. So anyway.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, you're right. To recapture is the hardest thing. So I think sometimes just to keep it running, and like I said, I got some edits I'm gonna have to do here, but that's all right. My
Yeah.
podcast people know that there's technical things that go on to even run a show like this, or even have such a prominent guest on our show, and that's why I don't like it to not go smooth. Is for you, because it's like, you're so important to the music. You're so important to the whole business of the music, and everybody. I really want them to know who you are. If they don't know about you, at least my Kansas and my people that listen to me a lot in the Pacific Northwest. I'm real popular in the Pacific Northwest because I've had a lot of guests on from Portland, and then down in Southern Oregon, I've had Phil Newton on here. And you've competed against Phil Newton sometime, or rather, with his band. He's been out there just about every year. You froze again. Oh, yeah, I was talking about, the popularity of how a show can go from coast to coast. And I really don't get a lot. I don't know why, but I keep wanting to have more ladies on the show. I want the people to know that women are an integral part in the music world, and especially when it comes to somebody that can sing the blues in such a soulful manner, and where she gets that from. And not only that, she is a close collaborator with her husband Keith, which is Keith Ruff, which is like fantastic. I mean, okay, can I ask you a question like this? Because people would like to know what it's like. Do you guys ever have conflict on what you're hearing and discuss it? I mean, you don't have to get, into the craziness of it, but how is that to work with your husband? Because music has a way of rubbing. You hear it one way, he hears it another way. How does that work for you?
Oh, there's definitely a difference there, especially with him, with the engineering ears, and the sound and how he heard it and all that kind of stuff, versus me just being an artist, and so how I want to portray it. So yes, absolutely, there are some touchy-feely times, but we make it through, we survive it. But yes, absolutely.
I mean, does it ever come to a time I said, man, I can't do that? You know, I mean, it's just too hard. I mean, it's like or you just face that and go, I'm going to overcome this. And then you step away from the recording for a while. You go over, you take a breath, you take a step back and go, okay, now what's the problem? Sing it to yourself and try to get it like your husband Keith is asking for, and then it comes on, and then bam, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You have to sometimes just walk away from it and then come back to it, and then try to have a happy medium there, because it's difficult if you don't have that camaraderie in there. You're not going to make it come across the way that it needs to. And music is so emotional. So, and everybody's emotion is up in the air and stuff. You just got to go woo-saw, and then come back. And then,
I mean, after all, isn't it for the good of the recording? I mean, it's like you're both wanting that to be so right, and
oh yeah,
and that's so right, and so getting it. You're hearing it one way, and he's saying, no, I need you over here. Can you bring it over here for me? Can I get you to? I mean, and you got to have love. You got to have love for the music, and you got to know that it's only for the betterment of the music. I mean, it's really all.
But you know what? To be honest, that rarely happens between us. Very rarely, because the way we work, he is in here, as you can see, and he's doing his thing, putting the track together.
Right.
When I come in, I'm doing nothing but listening to the music to get it in my spirit. And then I'm able to start writing what I feel.
Oh.
So once we get it and I kind of start singing it to him so he can hear what I'm feeling. Very, very rarely, out of 6 CDs, I can say very rarely has he ever said, oh, I don't like that, or I don't hear that. Very rarely.
Oh man, that's so great. Well, you guys have worked long enough together to know, on stage, off stage, and then when you take it into recording, I mean, it's like, wow, it's a complete package when you get there. So I'm just bringing up the rare moments just so people can hear that's, because I don't get a whole lot of husband and wife teams on my show, and I did have one on, and I don't know if I offended him or not by asking these questions. I'm not meaning to offend. I'm just trying to.
Oh no.
I'm trying to maybe enlighten who's listening. For the podcast's sake. And it's like, so everybody thinks, because it's like me. I play guitar, right? Because of the word play guitar, they don't think that you work to get that guitar to sound like you want it to sound.
Right.
And they don't think you train your fingers to do what it's going to do. They don't. So they think of it, you're just having fun. You're just up there.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's really a true statement. And I was on, I had Kenny Kinsey, he's turned out to be a really good friend of mine, from the Kinsey Report, and and we were talking the same thing. He says in my family they realize I'm going to work when I go to do a show. I'm not, this is not a big game. This is where we get our money from. This is how we eat.
That's right.
That's how we get things done. And I really appreciate him bringing that on to the show, so the listener can go, wow. They start looking at giving performers better pay. Maybe it's a manager listening to this show, and I know there's a lot of different folks listening to this that are in the professional recording business that listen to my shows, because I think what happens is they're learning about their musicians that they're hiring, and I think they like to know what really goes on inside the business, and you being on a show is a big help to that. It's a huge help to that. It not only helps your career get along, but it also enlightens the people that's hiring.
Yeah, I just heard that last.
So I guess
I think that one of the things that I can say about it is you learn that each person, I guess with me and my husband being a team, and we work together on stage and off the stage, we work together. um, you learn each other. You learn what it is that that person can. I think when he do the music, he understands what he wants from me, and as he's putting the tracks together, he kind of hear me, and understand what I can bring to that track. When I'm listening to the track, I'm listening to make sure that I'm portraying and I'm coming up with a song that's going to be something that's going to capitalize on his talent as well as mine.
Right.
So I think that it's a team effort to come up with something the way we have. So yeah.
I think you guys. I think that's a wonderful thing. I mean, what's going on inside your recording, and they do have a recording studio. You musicians out there that are listening to the show, they have a recording studio. Uh, I recently changed mine. I have a recording studio too, but it's no longer like it was. I was in a 2-story house, and now I'm in I'm kind of in a smaller room, and I stopped recording other people. So not because I wanted to be mean. It's just my son needed a house.
Yeah, I understand.
So I gave him my house. I mean, basically that's what happened, and everything. Now we get to have hip swinging blues.
All right.
All right. All right. Now I'm gonna say, cut. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna play hip swinging blues by the Alabama Queen of the Blues. Here we go. This put her on the map. Here we go.
That's right. We're gonna talk a little bit about some hip swinging blues, okay? I know my baby loves me.
my. No wonder that became such a big hit, no wonder it's easy to see,
And guess what? That song created a national line dance. And it was, it was featured on, I'm sure you're familiar with Tom Joyner.
Oh
Tom
yeah.
Joyner is, and he's featured it 2 years in a row on his Fantastic Voyage cruise. And I put it in the other day, and it is just, it's doing so well. Just to see it being played on Tom Joyner, that's huge.
Oh, Tom Joyner, I actually played for one of his shows in Kansas City at Kemper Arena.
Wow.
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
Oh yeah, my band was tore because we had to come on after the Average White Band, and it was like,
oh,
oh, whoa. I mean, we came on after that, and it was like, oh man, there was 20,000 people there. That was just, it was mind-boggling cool.
man.
And at first, people were standing back about 50 feet from the stage, and we were like, oh no, this is not, and so I said, boys, I had a little hustle. I said, boys, we're going to just step it up here, and it just, I mean, and then one of the sax player, he let out a solo, and all of a sudden it was back to line dancing and going crazy dancing, and it was people leaning up against the stage. It went nuts from that time on. Thank you for that memory. Thank you for bringing up Tom Joyner, because that was a great thing, and what a great representative of the people he really is. I mean, it's fantastic, these shows that he puts on, and I'm so glad you're a part of it. That gives me goosebumps. In fact, I get excited about it. It'd have been fun if you guys would have been there, and I'd have got to meet you then. That would have been a really cool thing.
That would have been nice. And that not sure if I showed you, but out of my 6 CDs, I have 3 songs that created national line dances. One of them is being done all the way over in Asia. On YouTube, there's an Asians doing the line dance and everything, and they love it. They did it. I mean, it's 2 different, but it's just, I'm like, oh my gosh, they are doing the line dance that somebody else created, and it reached all the way over there to them, and they're doing it on YouTube.
That's fantastic. No, I mean, wow. That's all I got to say is wow. So you folks have been everywhere and done everything. And I've mentioned those magic moments in your favorite places to play and things like that. And so your husband, has he been into business longer than you, or are you guys?
Oh yeah. We actually, before we were married, I lived in Florida and he was here in Alabama, and I was signed to a record company in New York called Boogie Down Production, and he was a producer for Boogie Down Production. So that's how I initially met him back in '98. Well, some years have went by, and we didn't talk or anything. And so in 2007, he called me just out of the blue, and I hadn't talked to him in probably about 3-4 years. And we was like, whoa, we reconnected, and he asked me if I had gotten my CD out, and I told him no. And so, and I tell this story to everybody. That day, we talked for 4 hours. And by the time he got ready to hang up, he said, "You gonna be my woman?" I said, "Me?" He said, "Yeah, you." And I had never met him. He had only seen pictures of me through the record company, but I had never personally met him. And so that was on a Thursday. And that Monday, he had flew down to Tampa.
That's great. I was surprised you didn't roll your eyes back and say, "What makes you think I want to go with you?" No, I'm just joking with you. I'm just joking.
It was really nice to actually connect with someone that with the music and stuff, because at the time I was in corporate America. I was a sales rep, and I was making the big bucks and stuff, and I had forgot all about my music. I was a single mom at the time, had gotten a divorce, so I wasn't thinking about the music. So for him to call me and remind me of what I should have been doing, that helped,
What a beautiful story, though. I mean, that truly is beautiful. And I'm hoping that I get to interview your husband too. I mean, not today, but I mean, I'd like to schedule him sometime if he would,
Yeah,
if he would say
yeah.
yes. And if anything, would you bend his arm for me?
Yes, I sure will. I will.
DieDra, for
He has
people,
some stories for you.
DieDra, for the people coming up, that are interested in the music business, do you have any words that you might encourage them with, or something you could tell them, or how they could stay on the grindstone, keep going at it, even if they're not having success, stuff like that? Do you have any share any
For
words?
me,
Yeah.
yes, my advice to them is this: do not compare yourself to anybody,
Woohoo!
because that is the biggest problem that a lot of artists have. And don't criticize anybody, because it's like a circle, it comes back. So just focus on you, do what you do, and do your best at what you do. And that's it. Don't look at nobody. Don't compare you. Well, I sure wish I could do that. No, if that's not what you're supposed to be doing it like she doing it, do it like you do it, because that's one of the things that's going to make you different from her or for him, is that you're doing it and you can say, this is me. This is what I do. This is what I'm contributing to the music business. And you're
Wow.
not comparing yourself to anybody else. Just be you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. You heard it firsthand, and I tell you, I could jump off this chair and celebrate what she said. Be authentic to yourself. Be
Yeah,
authentic to your style. Be authentic
yeah,
to who you are, because we can't be. I mean, I know I can't be Keith on the guitar, but then I know
right,
he might not be able to be me on the guitar either. We don't
right,
know that, and so even to
right.
compare one another, even though we've been in the competitions with IBC, we've been at those competitions. It's not really, music's really not a competition. It's really
Right.
about how you feel about the music when you're playing it. If it makes you feel good, baby, do it. If it doesn't, then
That's right.
don't. I mean,
That's right.
and really, when it comes down to, boy, I really appreciate that advice. That's a sweet thing. Well, we're coming to an ending on this show, and I tell you, I can't believe how much technical difficulties we've worked through already. But it it hadn't been all that bad. It just, it's something we had to work through. But that shows you the type of person DieDra is too, that she's willing to work through anything, to make sure that this business happens, because music is a business. It is an
Yeah,
industry, and we are all part of that industry. Even though we
that's
have
right.
the emotions of sitting around a campfire with an acoustic guitar and singing Kumbaya, it's still, if it makes you feel good and you're doing
That's
that
right.
song, that's what the industry is really all about. It really,
That's
we're all trying to get back to our roots, and we're all trying to be that person. So anyway, DieDra, I really, really love having you on the show. This has
Thank
been
you. It's
delightful.
been awesome.
It's challenged me. It's been the first challenge that I've had in a long time, because of the technical part of this, of the airwaves being so freaky today, and I don't know what that is, but so I mean, this is like, I've never had this problem. But anyway,
Oh,
I really want you guys to just continue to grow and be the people you are, because I tell you what, because others are looking on and others are watching, and they're going, God, the way they did that, I think I'd like my show to go that way. I'd like to have that
right,
relationship with my husband or my wife, either way,
right.
because I've been a traveling musician most of my life. My wife is just, she surrenders to it, because she knows it's the gift of God that was placed within me, and it's probably the only thing I
That's right.
really, besides the gift of gab, that's all I have to offer. And
Right.
when I get down to it, and that can only be from God. I mean, it doesn't come
Yeah.
from anywhere else, because
Yeah.
nobody else in the history of my family plays anything. And
Oh, wow.
they can barely carry a tune when they sing. So it's like, I mean, I feel pretty fortunate. But thank you for, I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to reach people that I've never reached before, and giving me a chance to, come into their homes and talk a little bit about what we do.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine. I will remind you though, don't forget to twist the arm of your husband though. I want him on a, hey everybody, if you go watch this couple on YouTube, you go watch Alabama Queen of the Blues, go sing and watch her husband on stage with her on YouTube. You're going to know why I am bothering her about having Keith on the show.
I'm going to work on him.
Because he's the other half of the show, and he really is a show. So,
yeah,
very entertaining. Thank you for being on the show. I'm going to close it out with the Hal and Steve Howell song right here. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Hi, everybody. You've been hanging with the band. And yes, we've had the one DieDra Ruff in the house. And oh my goodness, wow, what a show she knows how to put on. When you listen to her sing and the energy that goes on inside their concerts, it's amazing. I want to close out with this. Be kind to one another. Folks, there's nothing wrong with being kind to one another. There's nothing wrong with having some peace and love in your life. There's nothing wrong with passing on calm to the drivers out there. There's no reason to drive angry. It's point A to point B. If you look at it that way, if you're in a hurry, should have left earlier. It isn't the guy in front of you's fault. It isn't. So there's one way to do that. That's to be kind. And thank you for hanging out with Hal and Steve Howell and the BurntPossumRecords.com podcast. Yes, hanging with the band. We'll see you, folks.